Good evening, welcome to Premier League Forecast. It's me, Chris Bragg. It's me partner in crime, Kev. And we've got two newbies. We've got Matt and Emmett. Thought we combine Thursday and Friday since the last show before the World Cup. How are we all doing, gents?
Oh, good.
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad.
Good,
yeah, good.
Glad you're all nice.
Quiet week.
Healthy. It's a nice change, isn't it?
Yeah, not much drama going on at Liverpool this week.
No.
Run-of-the-mill stuff.
Run-of-the-mill
nice, comfortable shootout at the weekend on Wednesday night.
No, typical, nice, easy Liverpool day, really. So, you know.
Yep. Naby's injured. Water's wet.
He's running, though. So he's not fully injured. He's just running, though. So, you know.
Naby's injured. Water's wet.
I think it was his nose that was running. He's sick again.
I'm sure he'll be fit at some point. Right, so let's get into the first game then. Let's start with Chelsea versus Newcastle. Old new money versus new money. Newcastle top of the form table, 5 wins, 1 draw. I think they've only got 1 defeat all season. So tough test this for Chelsea, wasn't it, Kev? Because you know they've got a lot of players out. Kante's out, Kepa's out, both fullbacks are out, and Fofana's out. So. And Jorginho, I think, is a doubt as well. So, you know, there's a few. It's a bit of a challenge this for Chelsea, I would say.
Yeah, all truth being told, look, I think Potter's in trouble here. There's a strong argument going now that look, this job just, you know, wrong club, wrong squad, wrong time, and it's a culmination of a lot of things coming home to roost. So many changes in with transfer policy. And you know, different managers buying different type of players. It's just a complete mess. Anyone who's, you know, you watch them and you what are they trying to do? What are they trying to achieve there? I just don't get it. And the opposite, the polar opposite, is going on at Newcastle. Howe has got them defensively sound. Such a hard side to play against. Hard to beat, hard to break down, and they're scoring goals. Miguel Almiron is just having a season of his life. You know, if he can keep Callum Wilson fit, they've got a striker who can score at the drop of a hat. You've got Bruno Guimaraes into the Brazil squad, and he does not look out of place one bit. And they got him in when they were in a relegation battle. You know, they look almost like if you were looking at the two clubs, you'd be saying, okay, well, Newcastle are a shoe-in for top 4, and Chelsea are scattergun all over the shop, will struggle to get Europe.
And this has all been done without Isak as well. I mean, he's still to come back in.
He's still to come back in. So, I mean, I expect Newcastle to beat them, and I don't expect it to be close, because you look at it, there's ways of losing games. And Arsenal poxed their first goal. But the reaction from Chelsea was just so bad that you look at it and you think, they just got no fight. They've got their get up and go has got up and fucked off. And I just don't think there's any heart in that side. There's no fight in that squad. There's too many square pegs and round holes. And they're trying to shoehorn players into to suit a formation and a setup, and it just does not look like it's going to work.
Yeah, I mean, Matt, Chelsea, do they feel a bit like Liverpool? Desperately need this World Cup break to actually, as a club, internally reset. You know, what have we got? What do we need to make? I mean, listen, they spent a lot of money in the summer, but the way that the players they bought and the way they've set that squad up, it looks very, very imbalanced at the moment.
I was wondering if, Beck, is there a Chelsea podcast that's having kind of the same conversations that we have, you know, of like, how did we let our midfield get to this? Because when you think about it, it's kind of similar. They've got 3 mainstays in their midfield that all have kind of spotty injury records, that are all getting onto the wrong side of 30 and don't really have replacements there. So I can kind of understand their pain, but at the same time, don't really care too much because it is still Chelsea at the end of the day. I think Potter's a good manager. I think he's the type of manager, you know, like Mikel Arteta, where at the start, everybody's looking at it going like, whoa, dead man walking here. Like, you're already on borrowed time. You know, when's the axe coming? But if you can just persist with him, he might actually come good for Chelsea, like Arteta has done at Arsenal. Whether Todd Boehly is the type of owner / meddler to let that happen, or whether he's going to be quick with the bullet like his predecessor was is yet to be seen. But Newcastle have been so impressive. I mean, it's hard not to watch Newcastle play this year and not be really impressed. The tune they're getting out of players that were pre-Saudi, Joe L. Inton and Miguel Almiron and players like that you just thought like, these guys, they're not going to be good enough for Newcastle. They're going to ship them out as soon as they can. And man, they've really taken their opportunity and have been reborn, because, Alan St. Maximin has done his regular disappearing act while wowing people, but they keep ticking over, and it's a lot of their unsung players. I mean, a huge help from Bruno Guimaraes, obviously, and you look at their defenders, they didn't spend that 50 million, in every position like Man City did. They've been getting it done with some cheaper options. So good for Newcastle, I get. And I'm guessing they're going to put the shoes to Chelsea.
You'd have thought so. Emmett, so, I mean, how are you seeing sort of Chelsea, Newcastle? Because I think Matt's right, the midfield problems that Chelsea have got are probably very similar to ours. They've let their midfield get too old too quick, but there doesn't seem much succession planning. Even with the way they've done the front line, it doesn't seem to balance the way, especially the way the Potter played. I think even the way Tuchel played, I don't feel like that front three they built is kind of what they wanted. And I think as soon as players now getting shoehorned into positions that isn't helping them.
I think even when Tuchel was there, they've bought all these players, and I still don't even think Tuchel probably knew what his best 11 was. And the unfortunate position that Potter is in is that he's come in and he's not had a window, so he has to do at Chelsea with what he has. So look, January might be interesting for them as well. In terms of Newcastle, I think Newcastle, everybody expected them to challenge eventually for the top four. I didn't think they would challenge as quick as they would. So like Matt and what Kev has said is they've not gone out and bought absolutely world-class stars. So you kind of nearly need to place some of the credit at Eddie Howe's door. Like, as much as everybody thought, he's not going to last that long, and they'll bring in these big, massive superstars, and they'll have to bring in a big manager and a big ego to go with it. I think they're probably outperforming what everybody expected. Everybody expected them to do well, but probably not this early. I mean, they're third now. They don't look like losing anytime soon. Chelsea look like losing every single week. I think Chelsea have lost 3 of their... I think tomorrow is away, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it's at Newcastle. They've lost 3 of their 7 away games. So everything's pointing towards a Newcastle win, and yeah, it's like I said, they've not brought in superstars. They're doing it on these lads that, like, they're doing it on their Dan Burns, they're doing it on their, like Matt said, Joe Linton, and they're doing it on their Wilsons. I think Wilson, unfortunately for him, is probably not going to ever stay fit. He's going to be in and out.
No, they're probably hoping Isak's going to. I think Isak is supposed to be the main fella.
But like, what's their transfer record so far?
Alexander
Isak was about 50.
I think Isak and Guimaraes were probably the 2 biggest signs they've done in terms of money.
And even at that, not massive names. And that's coming, by the way. That is eventually going to come. So what they do is, and we've seen this before. We saw it with Man City. They brought in a Robinho, but what they do is they bring in decent players. They get them to where they need to be, and then what they do is they bring in the superstars to get them to maintain where they're going to be. So they're not even at that point yet. They're probably about 3 or 4. I know the season isn't over, but they're probably outperforming what everybody expects. Everybody expects them to do well, but they're probably doing a lot better than people probably expected at this stage. If they can maintain that, they've probably fast forward about a season or 2, I would say, in terms of challenging for top 4.
Yeah, I mean, Dino in the comments points out, also they're only playing 1 game a week, which is a big help. So it doesn't put pressure on the squad. But I suppose, Kev, the challenge I think Newcastle might have post-Christmas is, we're all saying didn't expect to be as good as they have been this season. So are they eventually going to have to get used to being treated like a Chelsea, a Liverpool, a United, a City, where all the clubs go, fuck me, it's Newcastle, it's tough this. Right, 2 banks of 5, break us down. Because I think that's coming. And I think I always think when sides break into that's something to get used to. That you face that every week, not just, you can't be the one that sits back all the time.
Yeah, it's I honestly thought that they would get into Europe this season. It was just a case of where they would go. And you have to look at it from when Howe took over to this calendar year. Really, they're so fucking hard to beat. They don't concede many. That in itself will get you a long way towards 75 points to get into the top 4. Add in the fact that they're not drawing many. I think they're in with a real chance. And the fact that they're, like Dino was saying, there's no Europe to contend with. When the rest of the sides in and around there are playing Europa League, Champions League, Conference League, and squads are really stretched, depending on how healthy sides come back from the World Cup, they probably won't get a better chance. And Emmett's right, they might need to accelerate their spending, but they've also turned around and their owner has invested. He said he's going to invest another 75 million this window. So it's like money's no object. It's just a case of managing the outs, getting players out the door, and bringing in the right type of player. And to be fair, it looks like they've got their recruitment nailed down. They're bringing in the right type of player to suit how they want to play, as opposed to Chelsea, which was an absolute scattergun approach to the transfer market in the summer, where they started late and it was literally just who's available, bring them in, and we'll deal with it. And if by dealing with it means we'll sack the manager and let someone else deal with it. This is why I think Chelsea are in a world of trouble. I've talked to Chelsea fans. I know one of my cousins is a Chelsea fan, and he's pretty certain that they'll be lucky to finish in the top 6. I think they're 6th at the minute, and we're to come. We're coming after it to push them down out of the top 6. And the sides that are above them, none of them look like they're going to drop down, and they don't look capable of catching anyone. I don't think they've had a win in their last 6.
Chelsea's last 6 record is in the Premier League. Is 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses. Yeah,
but you throw in the Champions League and the League Cup as well.
Yeah. Then it's not looking great.
It's not looking great. So I mean, this is one game, and I don't think they travel well. And Newcastle will want to sign off, this with a bang. They'll want to go out. They'll have a full house. It'll be absolutely raucous up there. So any kind of incentive that Chelsea think they have of going and getting a point or even 3, I think it'll be knocked out of them in the first 20 minutes. You're right in what you were saying, though, about Newcastle having to get used to sides parking the bus and not coming to attack them. And that's a different mindset and a different skill set in a lot of ways.
Because people now see Newcastle home or away as, fuck me, that's the tough game. That's one of the big games now that you've got to play this week, and they've got to get used to that. Not saying they can't, but it can take a while to get used to that sort of grind every week, because it can be quite relentless at times and hard work. So Matt, what score are you going for this then?
I like 3-0 Newcastle.
Kev?
2-1 Newcastle.
Took my score. Emmett?
3-1 Newcastle.
I've got
don't forget, Chelsea have the LeBron James of soccer in their team. I saw that during the week about Perisic. Oh my god, that's what the Yanks think. Yeah, the LeBron James of soccer.
Pulisic.
Do you know? I think Pulisic is only 23 or 4. He feels like he's been around forever and a day, because when we were first linked with him, I think he was only 17.
Yeah, 11 million from Dortmund. We tried to get him for, wasn't it? Dortmund wouldn't sell because it was so late in the window. In the chat, Tom Boland's gone 2-0 Newcastle. Hanson Lawrenson's gone 2-2. Owerson's gone 4-0. Almiron with his annual goal. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? All it took for Almiron to realise he's really good was get slagged off by Jack Grealish. I think Jack Grealish needs to watch Almiron now. He'd probably do all right. Yeah. Right, let's move on to the Sunday game then. Brighton versus Villa. neither side in particularly great form. 12th versus 13th in the form guide for the last 6, but I think it's going to be an interesting game this, Emma. You know, Brighton, you know, they're still good to watch. You know, they're just they're just a bit inconsistent at the moment. And Villa, with Emery, you just don't know, you know, you don't know what you're going to get, and you would expect them to get stronger with him because he's such a good manager.
I'm really pissed off with Aston Villa. I know I'm not an Aston Villa fan, but they've just 100% have pulled a Leicester City like they did on Ranieri. Like, and I know it's Steven Gerrard. The players clearly went playing for the results they've had. Okay, I know that they lost last night against United, but the results they've had and the performances they've put in since Gerrard is gone is only akin to what Leicester just turned it around big time when Ranieri went. So it's hard to say kind of what way Aston Villa are performing at the moment. Brighton, everybody knows Brighton. Brighton are an excellent side. Why haven't they bought an out goal scorer? Why haven't they bought an Origi from us? Like they're a nice team to watch. Trossard is on fire this season. So I think it's actually probably going to be probably one of the better games of the weekend. But it's really hard to pick out who I think is going to come out on top. I'll probably just edge it towards Villa. I think Villa probably have the better kind of all-round team over Brighton. But yeah, I'd go with Villa coming out on top over Brighton.
Yeah, Matt, what do you think of this Villa versus Brighton? I mean, as Emmett says, you know, Villa do have probably more proven goal scorers in their side in Watkins and Ings, but Brighton probably play, I would say, a nicer brand of football. They've got really good players like McAllister, you know, and Trossard who are in really good form.
Brighton's midfield, too, I think, is going to be the difference in the game. Their midfield and their defense are a lot more settled, especially Aston Villa's defense. Like, if you look at some of the mistakes that were made.
Here comes the memes.
Getting given, like, just silly schoolboy errors at the back for Villa. So I don't know if Emery's had enough time to iron those kinks out of those players yet, but I think it's going to be a high-scoring game because – yeah, like Villa can score a few goals, but they're also going to concede a few. And when you look at how well McAllister, Caicedo, Pascal Gross have been playing in that Brighton midfield, like nobody's flashy, but everybody's doing their job, taking over, and they're getting goals from all over the park.
Yeah, Kev, you look forward to this game. You know, you'd be probably surprised here. Phil Coutinho is still injured. Who knew, eh?
Yeah, I look at this one. I think this is going to be a great watch. For the neutral, this could be a great game. Unai Emery is a hell of a manager appointment, really, for Villa. You know, to leave a side like Villarreal, who got to the Champions League semi-final last year, it's a real coup for Aston Villa. And you've seen in the opening performances for him, they've got the nuts and bolts of a good side. And he wasn't afraid to drop McGinn out of it, which was surprising. I honestly thought he'd have been his ideal type of player. But the likes of Jacob Ramsey looks like they could come into their own playing under him, because the one thing he'll make them, he'll put a structure in place and make them hard to beat. And once he gets this game out of the way at the weekend and he gets the side together and gets 5-6 weeks to work with them in a proper break, they could come back and be really strong second half of the season. Brighton, your man has done a really good job. You know, he's come in. They don't win many, but they haven't been losing games. And again, January, they desperately need that board to dig their hands in their pocket and find a striker. Find someone that they can hang their hat on, that others can play around, because they've got a really good side. And they've always just been one short. They've been a finisher short. If this one ended 3-2 either way, it wouldn't surprise me. You really wouldn't. Both sides are capable of scoring. You know, Trossard is capable of getting goals. McAllister can get goals from midfield. Caicedo is going to, put in a shift.
Is Trossard still out of contract at the end of the summer?
I don't know.
Trossard is, yeah, as far as I know, he's on that list of players who are on a free next summer, yeah.
Which is surprising. I know it was McAllister, but I think they had an option to.
Yeah, McAllister's extended.
Yeah.
McAllister's extended. But I think an awful lot of these players that are extending contracts now are probably doing so with a buyout for certain clubs. You know, say if a club comes in who's involved in the Champions League, comes in, I can go for X fee.
Yeah.
That protects the player and the club.
Yeah, because that's how, you know, that's where, when they were good at it, Southampton, that's what they were really good at. And then they stopped doing that. And I think that's put people off going to Southampton because they're going, well, I can't get me next move, which is the move I want because you'll price me out. You know, so it's that fine balance when you're in that in-betweeny stage. What score are you going for, Kev?
3-2 Villa.
3-2 Villa. Matt?
3-2 Brighton.
Emmett, you can settle it.
I was going 3-2 Villa, so I'll go 4-3 Villa. I think there's going to be goals in this. Even though Brighton don't have a goal scorer, I do see a lot of goals. Like
goals around the side, isn't it?
I think this is probably going to be one of the better watches of the weekend.
Yeah. See, now we've all said that, you know it's going to be 0-0. It'll be it's the shittest game I've ever seen. We're like, oh, yeah, I'd gone for 2-2. It was a flip of a coin. Who I think
so this is a 0-0 incoming then.
Oh, it's a 0-0. We'll blame you, Matt.
Predicting goals all over the place.
It's always the way, isn't it? Right, should we do some? Let's do a couple of quick fire ones, then we can get into the Liverpool game. Early kickoff: City versus Brentford. I've gone 4-1 City.
Yeah, 4-2 City for me.
Kev?
4-0.
Emmett?
Wow, I actually think Brentford might get something out of the game. I'll go.
You have been drinking all day though, so
I'll go. No. I said this before I started drinking. I'll go 2-1.
2-1.
That'd be something, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Dino's going.
I just think Haaland is apparently, even though he came on during the week, Red Steve, I'm not drunk, but I'm well on the way. But I think Haaland came on, but it was announced today that he has to do a fitness test before the game tomorrow. So you have to remember, there's 19 of these players are going away to the World Cup, and majority of the 19 Man City players that are going away start for their countries. So I still have this, and I know I'm not saying that they do it on purpose, but like this is the last hurdle they have to get over before going to that World Cup. They may not be going full pelt.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I suppose for Haaland, I mean, he's not going to the World Cup, so he doesn't have that worry, I would say, as well. But they'll just bring on, was it Alvarez?
Alvarez, yeah.
Who's pretty handy as well, to be fair. So, Bournemouth versus Everton, after Bournemouth had already beaten Everton 4-1 in the League Cup. Mr. Lampard says you've got to give people opportunities, so probably none of those lads are going to get picked now. Emmett, what are you going for this one?
I'll go 2-1 Bournemouth.
I have 2-1 as well. Kev?
3-1 Bournemouth.
Matt?
2-0 Bournemouth.
Dom Solanke hat-trick.
Just to put all that World Cup pressure on Everton fans and their loyalty to Frank. Just take 6 weeks and think about that and stew on whether he's going to get the sack any moment.
Oh, but he gets them.
Yeah.
That's why they keep losing. Next one, Forest versus Palace. I've gone 1-0 Palace. Matt?
Yeah, me too. 1-0 Palace.
Kev?
3-0 Palace.
Emmett?
2-0 Palace.
Awesome. Spurs versus Leeds. Spurs coming off the back of back-to-back defeats now in the league and the League Cup. So at home to Leeds, I've gone for a 1-1 because I just think they're going through one of those ruts that all clubs go through. So I've gone 1-1. Emmett?
I think it's going to be a draw as well. So, and I'm not going to say 1-1, so we'll go 2-2.
Kev?
3-1 Spurs.
Matt?
2-2.
2-2. Okie dokie. West Ham versus Leicester, Matt.
Worst game of the weekend, 0-0.
Awesome. Kev?
2-1 Leicester.
Emmett?
1-0 West Ham.
I've got 2-1 West Ham. Late kickoff on Saturday night. Well, late kick, 7:30. Wolves versus Arsenal. I've gone 3-1 Arsenal. Emmett?
4-1.
4-1. So Arsenal, I'm assuming you mean.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Sorry. 1-4.
Just checking. Kev?
2-0 Arsenal.
Matt?
3-0 Arsenal.
So Arsenal stay top of the league. And the last game before the World Cup is Fulham at home to Man United. Kev?
2-1 Fulham.
2-1 Fulham. Matt?
1-1.
1-1. Emmett?
2-2.
I've got 2-2 as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Mitrovic will cause them all kinds of problems in the air, and they don't like it.
Is he available? I know I was looking at my FPL earlier on. He was still in red. So.
Oh, I don't know.
I think he was showing on mine.
I'm basing on it's not an easy place to go.
I'm wondering who's playing right back for United, because it looks like Dallow's hurt. Wan-Bissaka's still not back. I'm not entirely sure who's going to play at right back for him. Maybe Martinez has to push out to the right. Or...
They're saying Mitrovic is out with an ongoing foot injury. Bobby Reid returns after suspension. Harry Reid and Kenny Tete are banned for accumulating 5 bookings. United have Bruno Fernandes available after suspension, but Diogo Dalot serves a 1-match ban. Ronaldo is a doubt because he was ill.
Fernandes should have a 10-match ban for that dive last night. Holy shit.
Oh, shocking, wasn't it?
Maguire at right back, someone's put. I might watch if it's that. Cool. Right. So let's talk about then Liverpool against Southampton. Liverpool at home to South and South Coast. Just changed the manager. Feel like we've heard the story before, Kev, haven't we? And we did everything we could to try and throw that game, you know, and you doing the post-match of that 3-3 was grand, wasn't it? So
it was awesome, lad. It was awesome.
So are we hoping Liverpool have learned the lessons and, like, you know, at least leave with a high going into this World Cup? So let's be honest, there's not been a lot of highs so far this season.
No, it was a different kettle of fish with the Brighton one, because Potter didn't get the sack from Brighton for a bad performance or a bad job. You know, Hasenhüttl has been on the way out of that club for a good while, and all they did was brought it forward. The guy they brought in from Luton is good young coach. Likes working with this type of squad. You know, young players with talent, with points to prove, but probably too early to affect real change.
Okay.
Look, I think we'll be pretty strong. No, I just look at Southampton, and they've got a goal threat in Shea Adams, and they've got good fullbacks who can get forward. But look, there's a reason why Hasenhüttl got the boot. They can be got at. They're not the Southampton that they were. Yeah, Bonks, I don't think we're going to get a 9-0, but you never play. You never know. You never know with us. But look, I expect to win. I don't expect it to be comfortable, but I expect us to dominate the ball and just manage the game. I expect a comfortable 3-4-0, and anything less than that, given the players that we're going to be able to put out and the run that we're on at the minute, you know, we're playing all right. We're getting good results. So, you know, we need to be seeing this part of the season out with a bang. The last thing you want to go in to this World Cup is with a cloud hanging over anything. There's enough clouds hanging over the club at the minute without worrying about without worrying that you could not have 3 points tomorrow.
John has just said, Kev, you said you didn't expect an easy game, then said 4-0.
Yeah, but there's ways of 4-0s. It's like
could be like
I expect us to manage the game. I don't expect us to be able to score easy. The thing is, the centre back that the one centre back that I like the look of is going to with Germany to the World Cup. Hazunu's a good keeper. Walker Peters, good fullback. They're all young players.
He's out though, isn't he? Walker Peters.
Is he out? Is he? But you know, they're decent young players with points to prove, and their managers just got the boot on the strength of what Bella Kochkamp. They're on the strength of what they've done this season. So there's one or two ways this could go. I don't expect them to be anything but part of us.
Rebo's good as well. Who they got from Rangers.
Yeah, they got him from Rangers. They got a couple of players from City as well. You know, youth players, all young players. They're looking to be. I think they're looking to go back to that model of bringing the right young talent through to be able to sell them on for profit, and that's fine. That's what made them. They went through the stage after we kept fleecing them, saying, "No, we're going to keep our talent," and then suddenly, you're right, talent stopped going there.
Yeah, they find somewhere else to go. They'll go Palace now.
They go to Palace because they might be able to get a move out of it, and until clubs start hoarding at that level, you know, you're okay as long as you can turn it over and make good profit now and again, and reinvest it properly. You'll do okay. But at the minute, I don't care what this manager does when he comes in. They're looking to me like they're favourites for the drop. I'd be at the minute. You'd look at them and you think, yeah, you're going down at the minute.
Okay, Matt's sat there smug because obviously that they were his early predictions for relegation. I sort of feel like, Matt, you're just trying to let's kick every temptation we can, really, just to really dig it in. Because I'm not doing post match if we get battered because of this. I'm going to make you come on.
Now I gotta lean into that Southampton going down prediction because I would not want to re-listen to that prediction show because I was way off on everything else. So I gotta take my one thing that I seem to be getting right. That and Calvin Ramsey making his first start in the League Cup. That one nailed it. I'm predicting that I mean,
to be fair, most of us would have predicted that. To be fair,
hey. Still counts. I think it's going to be an easy game. I think we're hitting a little bit of form, especially up top. You know, we got two strikers that seem to just be hitting a groove. One of them going to the World Cup's going to, you know, Darwin Núñez doesn't strike me as the type of player that's going to be able to hold his horses. He just doesn't seem like he has that ability about him amongst his many abilities. But Mo is just absolutely flying at the moment. I was pleasantly surprised by how good Trent looked going forward last weekend in the league, and I'm expecting a little bit more of that. Like he's so far off the pace in his offensive output to where he's been. I mean, Leighton Baines' assist record has been looking pretty safe from getting broken by Trent at least this year. So I think it's going to be a bit of a romp, and we're going to stroll in through the weekend. I mean, I predict to win every single game, but I think this one should be pretty easy 3 points for us.
Yeah, Baron Dev says, it's surprising Trent's not got an assist yet this season, Emmett, which I know he's not been the best form. I mean, I do sometimes think that's also down to Liverpool being very wasteful. We have been very wasteful in both boxes, but confident for tomorrow?
Yeah, confident. Probably not as confident as others, but I agree with Kev. I think this guy has come in probably a little bit too late in the day to have any massive effect on how Southampton are probably going to perform tomorrow. I'm going as much as I'm not as confident as others, I'm probably going to go about a 5-1. I just don't think he has he's had enough time to put his kind of stamp on the team. And although look, you may see them turn around and perform for a manager like Aston Villa did. You just never know. But I can't see anything other than a win for us tomorrow.
Oh, I like how you
and Trent with his first assist of the season.
There you go.
Yeah, for us or for them.
And that's you know, and that's actually something that we probably didn't talk about last Sunday enough on the Fat Bat 4 was Trent. I know he's got his pelters throughout the season so far, but like some of his balls on last week were unbelievable. His diagonal balls across, you just look and think, how the hell is he actually doing? And a lot of them are first time balls as well.
Definitely. So, Kev, in terms of the lineup, then, are you expecting any difference to the side that started against Spurs?
I think Alisson starts. Trent, Konate, Virgil, Robertson.
Yep.
Fabinho, Thiago.
Yep.
Elliott. Bobby, Darwin, Salah. But I don't know if we play the diamond.
No, I think it might go more 4-2-3-1 again.
Yeah, I don't think we'll play a diamond. I think it'll just be a case of maybe one sitting, but everyone else, You know, it's just going to be a case of really compress the Southampton into the final third. The likes of Shea Adams and that are quick enough, and they'll fancy themselves to maybe get the odd chance, but I just don't see how Southampton hurt us, and that's no disrespect to them. I look at this game and I think there's so many players need performances in this, you know, and it'll be the first time in a while that we've been able to more or less put out the same 11 in back-to-back Premier League games.
Yeah, I think Bonk's got 2 changes. He's got Jones, I'm assuming Jones on the left, and Henderson and Thiago. So, I mean, that's also another option. But it's nice actually to have some options. I mean, Milner's back. I think the way Klopp was talking, Matip's had, I think, 1 or 2 training sessions now, so he might be on the bench, but nothing more than that. But other than that, there isn't really many changes we can make at the moment.
Yeah.
Keita's still out. Good news was Diaz is back running already. So I don't know if it's ahead of schedule or in line, but that's a positive.
Looks like he'll be available for the start of the second half of the season, which is, you know, really
big
good.
plus. That gives us then a rotation option on the bench. If he starts, you know, one of Firmino, Salah, or, you know, Bobby, we can start rotating at least one of them, which is something we're going to have to do. Yeah. The only worry is Jota, Emmett. There's nobody to talk about.
There's no talk at all about the length, and you're kind of nearly hoping that it's an after the World Cup, because that seems like it seems to be the go-to when they're talking about injuries, is he'll be back after the World Cup. But I mean, February, March, April are all after the World Cup.
Yeah.
So we don't know yet. Yeah.
The Darwin always seems to be hinted at. Pretty much first game back after the World Cup, they're expecting to be there or thereabouts. So you will, while disappointed, kind of thinking, well, we know roughly that. Jota one's a lot quieter. You said it'll be later than that. That's all we're hearing.
And I think in his press conference today, there wasn't even a mention of it. He seemed to mention all players that were injured, bar Jota.
Yeah, I think Jota's a serious one.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, which is it's a shame, because he's just such a key. I think his injuries have been part of the key why we've struggled this year, because I think we want to use him as the main starting number 9 to break in Darwin probably later on, take some of the pressure off him, but it hasn't worked, unfortunately, for us. But Kev, so Mo Salah, 7 goals in his last 9 games against Southampton. So I assume you fancy him for a goal. So what score did you go in the end? Was it 4-0?
I went 4-0, but it might be just late goals. Might be 2 late goals. I think first, like every game, first goal is key. These are another one of those sides you don't want to give them incentives, so you don't want to be giving them a goal, you know, to something to hold on to. If you know, the atmosphere should be good. It's the last game for a long time, so yeah, 4-0. Salah 2, Virgil 1, and maybe Harvey 1.
Okie dokie. Matt, what score are you going?
I've got 5-0. I think the lineup, I think Curtis Jones is going to start. I think Curtis Jones is going to start on the left wing of a front 3. I think Darwin's going to play through the middle, and Bobby will come off of the bench. Harvey, Fabinho, and Thiago in the midfield. But my 5 scores, Darwin score early. Curtis Jones is going to score. Mo's going to get 2, and Virgil 1.
Okay. Emmett, what are you going for?
5-1, like I said. I know I said I wasn't as confident, but we have played games before where it's cagey for the first hour, and then we absolutely just open up on them. So I think it'll be close enough. We'll get a lead, and then we'll just put them to bed. So I'm going to go Salah hat-trick, Nunez, and Trent.
Okay.
Why not?
I had 2-0. Canate Salah.
Boring old sod.
2-0. New manager bounce. We're very inconsistent. And of course, Kev, we've got no manager on the sideline, which is
That's a point, actually. Yeah, that is a point. You know, no Klopp. So it's down to Linders. Klopp will be up in the
stands.
In the stands from, you know, with his earpiece in, chatting away.
You can still chat to him. It's just
you
on the sideline.
You can't be on the sidelines.
Are you surprised? I'm not, because I thought...
I'm not, no.
There's a lot of talk around going at officials, and obviously Klopp, he really goes in the officials' ear. You kind of knew they're probably going to appeal it and get it banned. Now, listen, there is a question of, you also should be looking at the state of some of the officiating, and that should be taken out, behind closed doors. But that's the bar now, so you just want that consistency. I think the only other manager I've known to get banned this season for it is the Leeds manager. I think he went on the pitch, didn't he? And had a go at an official for a
he did. He got decision. A red card. I mean, I think it should be the standard, really. If you're given a red card as a manager,
it's a 1-game ban.
It's a 1-game ban. Appeal it if you want, and we'll extend it if it's a frivolous appeal.
Yeah,
that ends an awful lot of it.
It's consistent, then, isn't it?
Yeah, at least you know where you stand with it. And I know people will be up in arms about it, and because we love Klopp. But at the end of the day, if you go to any kids' games and you see the amount of abuse and shite that referees have to take, and the amount of stuff that referees in the game as a whole have to take, it's a job at the end of the day. And you don't need to be roared at by someone for doing your job. You don't like the decision, fine. There's a way to handle that. And Klopp knew it straight away. He apologised straight away. He knew he was in the wrong. You accept the fine. And if it carries a 1-game ban, fine. You just suck it up and get on with it. Don't cry about it. There's no point. It is what it is. And the thing is, all of the behaviour that people see in the Premier League is mimicked way down to kids and grassroots football. You've seen players now at training sessions, oh, my hamstring is sore. It's not. Just get on with it. They're mimicking what Premier League players do, in the same way as fans at supporters at these games are mimicking bawling out the refs like they do as if they were on Twitter. There's a standard to be set, and you just can't do certain things. Klopp stepped over the line, and rightly or wrongly, whether the referee was appalling on the day, he missed glaring fouls. Klopp was out of order. And he got the red card, and he deserved the red card. Call it as it is. Call it straight, and you know where you are. The difference is when others do it going forward, if they don't follow through at the same level as they have done with Klopp, then you can cry foul. John, it doesn't make a blind bit of difference, mate, how shocking the referee was, mate.
That's called that's classic whataboutery. Well, because he made a mistake, then it doesn't exonerate Klopp. My frustration is, look, Klopp gets the ban because he did also argue it really in the officials' face. Fine, he gets the ban, but I do think at some point the FA and officials have also got to take certain officials. They used to, the old days, they used to relegate officials. If you'd had 2 or 3 shocking performances, you're in league, you're in Championship, you're in League One. It was a demotion because it was because you're not cutting the standard. And in that game, that referee and linesman made horrific decisions both ways, because there's some tackles we got away with that were blatant and they didn't give them. And that's where you go, and that's where you want the balance of, if the manager steps like that, fine, he gets a 1-game ban. But then you do this. John said, why didn't Pet get done for yelling in Taylor's ear? He didn't get sent off. That's the thing. That's the reason Klopp's getting the ban. He got a red card. It's, so that's the reason for it. And there's VAR, so they won't now bring it back. But, we can all do the cry, well, he didn't get that, he didn't get that. I think that sometimes you just also suck it up. I think Klopp was expecting it anyway. I don't think he's surprised by it. I think he knew it was coming.
Yeah.
But
I'd rather him get it out the way now against Southampton at home, against a manager who's just come into the club, as opposed to the next Premier League game on Stephen's Day, when God knows what situation the club's in and what situation the squad's in. The squad is going to be in really good shape going out into going out tomorrow. It's refreshed. It's had a week off. Linders knows what he's doing. Klopp's in his ear anyway. It's not a real drama, as if do you remember years ago when Mourinho had to be carried in a washing basket type of shit?
Oh, it's
not exactly. It's not those days, At least Klopp can be in the stands and talking to the player, talking to his coaching team. So, and it gives him a different perspective in watching the game as well. Probably a unique perspective that he has never had.
Yeah, well, it's something like anything.
The only disappointing thing is so this red card happened against City, and I would imagine that Klopp probably expected to serve a ban, and then he got his 30 grand fine and didn't serve a ban. then it was so I think we've had 3 or 4 games since then where he could have served the ban. I think the appeal went in last week. Could have very easily missed the game on Wednesday against Derby, but then all of a sudden gets hit with it on the Friday before the Southampton game. It's just disappointed that it is the last game before we play again before I think it's the 19th, or was it 20th, 21st, or 23rd of December. It's just a bit of a kick in the teeth that he misses that last game, but I just think he could have probably served it earlier. I don't think he expected not to serve a ban. I think he probably did, and probably thought he got away with one when he didn't originally get the ban. It's just disappointed to not see him on the touchline tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what I think it is. So, Cosmic Geek put this comment up here, so I've just stored it for later. So, we got drawn away at Man City in the League Cups. That's actually our first game back after the World Cup. I think it's 2 or 3 days after the World Cup final. So, now he's saying, can the youngsters beat City? Matt, do you think it'll be youngsters? Because I'm not thinking it's going to be youngsters. I'm thinking it's going to be probably most of the lads who didn't go away to the World Cup, and probably some of the lads who probably if they get knocked out early of the World Cup. Say Uruguay get knocked out in the group station. I don't know who's in their group. I think then they'll do that.
I think it'll be actually pretty close to the team that we saw against Derby. I think Ramsey will get the start. I think Simicast will get the start. I think Bacedic will get a start. You'll still have Ben Doak will be on the bench again, I'd imagine, for them. Bobby Clark will be on the bench for him again. But I could see them, using it as kind of a reintroduction into the season. Again, it's still a free hit. If you lose the City, you lose the City. If you lose in the League Cup, as long as it's not the final, you lost in the League Cup. But given their 19 players going away for the World Cup, I mean, we got to be coming in favorites into the game. I mean, we've beaten them 3 times in a row if you count the Charity Community Shield. We seem to have their numbers. So, yeah, I got confidence.
I think we're unbeaten our last 4 competitive games. If you include Charity Shield, 5 competitive games against them. So, we do have we have done well against City. But Kev, if you're talking League Cup, then how about this for a side? Then Keller in goal, Ramsey, Gomez, Matip, Robbo. You're probably looking at the midfield's probably the challenge for us. Thiago, Elliott, Jones, maybe. Then a front 3 is Salah, Bobby, Diaz. Aside from the midfield, there's 6, 7 that are regular first teamers there.
And
that aren't going to the World Cup. That are going to be sat there getting fit.
But it all depends. The other side of it is, just because players are going to the World Cup doesn't mean they don't finish early.
Yeah.
I think it's fairly. If you look at England, at best maybe quarterfinals. Uruguay, second round, maybe quarterfinals at best. Brazil might go deep. France could go very deep. Netherlands could go a long way, but in truth, you could have most of our players and a lot of their players finishing, 2 weeks before we play, and more than likely Guardiola and Klopp will want these players rested as much as possible.
I mean, Klopp sort of said that's part of the reason that they're doing this training camp in Dubai. I know we all seem to think it's because of selling the club, but he's
pretty much every club is going to the Middle East.
But he's saying they're going to Dubai because also then anyone goes out early, it's a short flight for them to go there. So I mean, that's a side I've picked of 11 lads who aren't going to the World Cup.
Yeah,
but like you said, if Uruguay get knocked out in the group stage, well, Nunes would be a viable option to bring up because he's only going to be away for a couple.
And the thing is, it's handy to have a game where you can blow the cobwebs off as well.
Yeah,
get everyone back. Everyone will come back to Liverpool, start training together again, and look at it as if you're playing a Charity Shield. They might look at it and think, okay, well, playing, say, for example, the 21st of December, you play again 5 days later, 26th, playing again before New Year's, and then after New Year's.
I think we're the 30th. I think we've got
the third. We've got a nice break.
We've got a nice split actually.
We've got a nice split this time, so he could go a lot stronger, and just say, okay, we're going to go. You got this game, then you got a 5-day break. This game, another 5-day break. This game, and just manage it like that, and then maybe look towards the second half of January to start mixing it up again. Rotating around players properly, but. I haven't a clue. I'm not bothered about playing City in the League Cup, to be honest. It's a good draw in a lot of ways, because if you get through, the competition opens right up. There's a lot of good side. A lot of good sides went out, and if you get knocked out, then that's just another slot in the calendar in January, February, March, where you don't have to worry about playing. It's someone else's problem. So, not for us either way.
Yes, I think John was saying, I think City got 17 players at the World Cup. We've got 7. Now, admittedly, I don't know what players City have got getting rested up. I know Haaland is one of them, which is it's not a bad player.
I think Haaland, Gomez, Mahrez. Somebody actually texted me earlier on. There's actually 4 of their senior players are not going to the World Cup, of what you would consider as being their senior players. With those, the team that you called it there, I've got something pretty similar. Like, I mean, if you're gonna look, when the World Cup is in the summer, a player normally gets 2 weeks break after the end, after they get knocked out.
Yeah.
Which, depending on when teams get knocked out. I had Kelleher, Ramsey, Matip, Gomez, Robbo, Bacetic, Thiago, Elliott, Salah, Bobby, Carvalho. That's not taken into consideration that Diaz will most likely be back. If you were to try and create a City team based on the players that aren't going to the World Cup, you're probably dipping into their under 13s at that stage because there's so many going away. I think it was Gav said maybe in the Telegram group before the draw was made that City are the team to draw. They very could be, dependent. Like 7 of our players are going away. How many of them are actually starters? Trent won't be. Henderson won't be. Konate won't be. Nunez probably.
Nunez will.
Nunez
will.
Yeah.
Nunez, Van Dijk. Nunez, Van Dijk, and they're both starters.
Fabinho won't start. So,
won't start.
But if you go through the list of City players, you'll find that an awful lot of them are actually starters for their countries. So, whilst they are away doing their warm weather training, let's say that they're probably not going to put many miles on the legs. Our 7 versus their 17. So our 7 versus their 17 could probably slot back in to our squad a lot quicker than theirs could. Again, depending on how far or how deep they go in the competition.
Yeah, because I don't expect Hens to start many games. I think he'll be a last 30 player. I think that's how they'll use him. Because that's how they've used him for the last tournament.
Last 30, or he might play 90 if the last game in the group was a dead rubber or something.
That's what I think, yeah. Van Dijk will play every game. Darwin, I think, will play every game. And I think Alisson has got the number 1 slot at the moment over Ederson. So, I mean, it's not bad when Ederson's your backup goalkeeper for the country, is it?
He's all right.
Yeah, so, Kev, any sort of surprise with the World Cup squads? Anyone you shocked about? The Thiago non-selection seems to have ruffled a few feathers. As a Liverpool fan, it's great because he's getting rested. But
Thiago was never going to go. Luis Enrique just doesn't fancy him, and they've got some really good, like Pedri and Gavi. I assume Gavi is going, but Pedri is a top player. Spain are going younger in a lot of positions, so Thiago not going was no shock. For England, Harry Maguire going is just old boys network. Tomori is probably what they needed, someone with pace and a left foot who can play on the left side of a back 3, but he's not playing in the Premier League, so that goes against him. Callum Wilson should be nowhere near that squad. He's a pure sick note. And Calvin Phillips is there because there's no one else better. They'd rather take a gamble on Calvin Phillips because of a 26-man squad, because he's that much better than the next option. So you'd rather take a gamble on him over someone who, like James Ward-Prowse, who just won't play. So, I mean, you look at the rest of the squad for us, our squad, and who could have gone. Look,
Jota
would have gone. I think it would have been an interesting call if Reece James had been fit, whether Trent would have gone.
I have no feeling he wouldn't have gone.
I don't think so. I don't think Southgate will play him anyway, but I don't think. I think he would have. I think Reece James is suited to playing that role as well. You know, there's no point in disrespecting the guy. He's a really good wing back,
That's the key phrase, though. He's a wing back. He's not a full back.
But Southgate plays with wing backs. So
correct.
You know, it's not as if he plays with a back four. Back four is a different position entirely. That's why it annoys me when you see the two players are constantly compared because they're English. Trent is a fullback. A fullback and a wing back are completely different players, completely different tasks. And it's clear as day that anytime Chelsea are playing with a back four with Reece James playing as a fullback, he's nowhere near as effective and he's a liability. Whereas Trent is really good going forward, and because of the role that he's asked to do with us, he's targeted because he does have a lack of pace. You know, and that's just the way it is. Yes, John was saying there with Spain, no De Gea or Kepa for Spain.
I think Kepa's injured.
Yeah, Kepa's injured, but there was no De Gea anyway. They got absolutely no confidence in him at international level. They'd rather go with Raya. Was it the guy at Brentford?
Yeah. Raya.
Raya. And there's another one in the Premier League as well.
Sanchez?
Yeah. They'd go with those two. And Simon will be their probably starting keeper.
I actually don't think De Gea's been that bad this year either.
No, I think he's been really good, but at international level, he's just not cutting it.
Yeah. A bit of an odd one, yeah. I mean, the only sensible thing, if Southgate's got any sense, is I suppose if you are last 15 minutes, you need an equaliser, you need a goal, you kind of probably want Trent on there from a free kick point of view, or if you get him to a wide position, because he will be able to find a Harry Kane. You know, that's probably what he should be used for now. Is they don't want to start him, and he's never going to start because he just doesn't fancy him. But he could be that little playmaker for the last 10, 15 minutes just to spot someone. But yeah, I mean, Maddison, he's getting a lot of love for getting picked. I mean, to be fair to him, he is he's the man in form at the moment from an attacking midfield point of view. So you do, I also think for these tournaments, have to sometimes just pick someone who's in form for the last 6 months because ride the crest of the wave while it's on there. Because that's probably what he's there. Whether he plays is another matter. I'm not sure if he will.
The problem England have is they're not going to get tested properly until they'll come out of the group easy enough. They should top that group. The second round they'll come up against more than likely is going to be Senegal. Yeah, Sadio's going, but
he's not fit.
He's not fit, and England should beat Senegal. Then you're talking France. Different animal. So the problem is England could be 4 games into a tournament before decent. And by the time they play someone decent, they're out. You know, I see him getting to the quarterfinals at best. And that's about, when you look at the squad, that's about right. You know, that they're not anything special. They haven't got a strong defense. They haven't got centre backs that would, like Virgil and some of the other players at the back in other sides, that would give you nightmares against going up against them. One thing that England do have in Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham is a midfield 2 that can work. It's just a case of playing against sides who are going to be playing a midfield 3. Will they be able to cope with that? Because of the way Southgate is so negative, the way he sets up with a 2-man midfield, 5 at the back, wing forwards, and a striker, it's just so negative. Yeah, you know, we saw the best and worst in contests, because this is what Southgate is doing. He's trying to play like Conte. We saw the best and worst of that with the Spurs game last week, where in the first half that we just totally dominated the game, and in the second half we struggled because they opened up and they just played the 3-4-3 how it should be played. Wide open the pitch, a centre back who overlaps, and attack the game. Southgate won't do that. It's not in his DNA to do it. You know, he just doesn't have the intelligence to manage a team, to coach a team, to do that. And he doesn't have the balls. Simple as that. He'd rather defend and go out on penalties than risk and gamble on a game to try to win it 3-2. Do you know what I mean? And you look at the rest of the countries in it, I think Netherlands will be really strong. France, now that they don't have Pogba, I don't think Rabiot's going either. So the troublemakers are gone out of that.
Oh, Rabiot's in the squad.
Rabiot's in, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. So you got Rabiot's mammy and Mbappe's mammy are going to be handbags over.
That might be more fun than the game, to be honest.
Hang on a second. Mbappe's mammy is fine. She's a Liverpool fan.
Yeah, but she's a bit up there as well.
Careful now. Yeah. So, but I think, Matt, so Barry wants to know, will you shave your head if Canada qualify for the last 16?
I want to say sure, just because it's a slam dunk, but fuckers don't know how long it takes me to get my hair this long. So no, I'm not doing that. I don't care that much, A, about this World Cup because it's a farce, and B, about Canada's national team. But the only lineup news that really matters is that Alphonso Davies has declared that he will be 100% fit for the World Cup. And that's humongous if Canada is going to score one single goal, which is all I'm asking for.
What's the group looking like for Canada?
Oh, Croatia, Belgium, Morocco. So.
Oh, the easy group then.
Easy.
Yeah. Just a cakewalk. You know, you get the minnows like Morocco. Yeah, not good. We're going to get absolutely pummeled. So hopefully the fans can all go over there and
enjoy yourself.
Yeah, no. What are you gonna enjoy yourself? You can't really drink, you can't really party. You stand outside.
You can in the hotels.
You instantaneously combust if you step outside because it's 100 degrees.
Yeah.
So yeah, it should be interesting. I mean, there's not a lot of hype going on around. Like it's not like you're seeing businesses starting to get decked out in World Cup stuff. You know, I think everybody knows that we're just there kind of to make up numbers as well as we did in our CONCACAF qualifying. CONCACAF is a different story.
Ireland knows when we go to World Cups that we tend to be there to make up the numbers, but the fucking country shuts down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, don't get me wrong. You know, the World Cup of hockey or Olympic hockey stuff like that, Canada will come to a standstill. Like if the Blue Jays had made the World Series, the country would have come to more of a standstill. When the Raptors won the NBA championship a couple years ago, but we're just not really a soccer playing country just quite yet. Give it another generation or two, and I think this World Cup for Canada is humongous just simply for the grassroots effect that it'll have. If you look at the effect that having a strong women's national team had on the number of girls coming through and women coming through playing football at a top level, it's massive. So if you you got all those kids, hopefully they are able to watch it. Some of the games are on pretty early over here, but it should give an injection of excitement around playing the sport at a grassroots level. And that's what you need to progress up. It takes decades to do it, but you got to start somewhere. So hopefully a fun little World Cup will be just the ticket.
It's not Canada's first World Cup, is it?
No, it's our second. We're at 86 in Mexico where they did not score a goal. So one goal. That's all I'm asking for. Incremental improvements.
Well, you're hosting next time, aren't you?
Yeah, partial hosts. I mean,
partial hosts,
I don't know how many hosting privileges we'll actually get, the Yankees
qualify.
And the Mexicans. Yeah.
Qualify, so
if Ireland qualify, we're all staying in Matt's gaff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I mean, let's do a Winter World Cup for that one. Let's level up the playing field.
Let's really not.
No. We're not coming now, but no. So Emmett, did you see any of the Nagelsmann interview today?
No.
They were asking him about Sadio, and he said, "Oh, we've got to check in with him in 10 days' time to see how he's going." Now, listen, I don't think Nagel's going to get his wish here, but he's basically was saying we've got to put players' health ahead of countries. He said, if he's still in pain and this leg injury's not healed up, we don't want to let him go. And I think his concern is, as we saw, Kevin, the last AFCON, they brought Sadio Mane back on with a clear concussion because he got knocked out in the semi-finals and he got put back on 10 minutes later.
How much of a say does the club have?
Absolutely none.
Exactly.
I think if it's a proven injury, I think you are allowed to call them back and say he's injured, as long as you can prove he's injured.
Okay,
but it's
I
always
did read that they're bringing in a witch doctor.
Oh God!
So yeah, I didn't read the actual genuine article from Nagelsmann, but I did read that they're bringing in a witch doctor. I think Senegal bring Sadio in even if he can play the last 10 minutes of the last group game. He's literally their talisman. He kind of he got them to the World Cup. Look, you don't want to be going down a rabbit hole of speaking about when the World Cup is and all. FIFA and everybody hasn't done any players any kind of doing them any favors with having the World Cup when it is. I think Henry and Carragher talked about it. You generally had about 20 days or so to recover, even if you got injured in the last game of the season. Like we're having the last game now in most European countries or even world countries this weekend. I think it starts on the 20. Is it 26?
Starts next weekend.
Next weekend.
Next weekend. That quick.
Next weekend,
there you go.
yeah.
So a week to recover. It's not ideal. Some of these players that are getting injured might never get to a World Cup again. So like they've completely ruined it for them. But I think Sadio goes. He's in the squad. I would probably watch the space on the whole club v country thing, but I think he goes regardless.
Yeah, I think he goes regardless. But I think Nagelsmann, and Kev knows I'm not a massive Nagelsmann fan, but he does make a point. But this is the point I think Klopp's made and a few other managers have made now is you're going to drain these players at some point. But we all know, authorities-wise, they're not asked.
No, they don't give a shit. The thing is, look, when it comes to club v country, for the likes of Sadio Mane, the Brazilian lads, the South American lads, even the Dutch lads, it's country all day, every day, twice on Sunday, and rightly so. You know, to these players, it's everything. You know, the World
It's
Cup
like playing for the All Blacks.
Everything. Yeah,
it's such an honour to play for the All Blacks.
Yeah.
These lads, it's such an honour to play for their country.
Yeah, you can play for Wellington and Auckland and what have you, but if the All Blacks come calling, you're going. And it's no different to pretty much everyone outside of England. You know, England is probably the one nation that you look at and it has a club v country conflict. You look at Andy Robertson, you know, will walk over hot coals to play for Scotland. You know, and he the same with the Irish, the players we've had playing for Ireland over the years. You know, it's like you often. I remember reading Stephen Gerrard's book about his almost envy and jealousy of when the South American lads used to go away, because the buzz was they're going away to see their mates, where he was like, "Oh, I got to go and play for England." You know, and it wasn't. It's
England don't feel
I think that's gone now. But it used to be like factions, like the United players wouldn't mix with the Liverpool players, and
I think the St. George's Park
has gone
complex,
now.
and that what evolved out of that, and what the likes of Steve Cooper when he was at England developed at under 17 level. You're seeing that crop of players now coming into the senior side. And it's like, oh, you've known each other for years. Whereas before it was like you listen to interviews with Carragher or Michael Owen and stuff like that. They went to Lilleshall when they were playing under 16s and they went back to their clubs. Then they met up again at under 21 level and they go back. And it was different. It was like, it wasn't they were going to play with their friends, you know, which is what most of the other international countries have. They all have the bond. You look at the Brazilian lads when they go, they all have that bond and they know they're playing for a country and the country is united behind them. It matters more. I don't think the quality of football is higher at international football. I think Champions League football is a far superior level of football than international football.
I think international football is slower.
I think it's more methodical and it's difficult. You know, I don't think it's the technical. I don't think the technical level of international football is anywhere near where it used to be. But at the same time, that won't make a difference to sides who make. You look at Croatia. You know, the reaction to the Croatian players when they got to that World Cup final. You know, they'll never recapture that. They'll never get that again. And yeah, look, the player. It's one thing that I took away from Klopp when he talked about the World Cup and that. And he's like, The players, the coaches, the TV broadcasters, the journalists didn't pick where this World Cup is. FIFA did. The only ones to blame are FIFA for this. FIFA are the ones who gave Qatar a World Cup for a summer World Cup, and then they decided to change the rules and have it in the winter. So won it by default, by fraud, really. It's not the players' fault. It's not the coach's fault. It's not the association's fault. They've just got to go and play where they're told to play. And seeing one of the comments made earlier on about Denmark having been rejected for being a training top that they wanted to wear.
Because it's classed as political. Well,
yeah,
they class
exactly.
it as political.
Yeah, they'll just make up any excuse in the world, but that won't stop players if they want to make a statement. If players want to go there and make a statement and be seen to be make a statement, they'll do it.
They'll put it on just put a t-shirt underneath, and lift the shirt up. Go.
Do you know? I haven't seen that yet, and I want to watch it. Is it good? If you've seen it, there's a Netflix documentary about the awarding of this World Cup and the controversy around it. And it's supposed to be, it's based on the journalist who did a lot of work for Hillsborough, works for the Independents.
David Cohn.
Yeah, it's based on his investigation.
Oh, right, okay.
And Netflix made a big documentary about it, 4-parter, I think. So it's one I think I'm definitely going to have to go and watch.
Speaking of documentaries, Tuesday, I think it's on BBC4, I'm sure of your IPTV. There's a documentary about Ronaldo, Brazilian Ronaldo, which looked amazing. It looks well worth a watch. Right, as Bonkers points out, tomorrow morning it's England versus Pakistan.
Is it tomorrow morning or Sunday morning?
Sunday, I think.
Was it Sunday?
No, I think it's Sunday.
But England versus Pakistan, and Sky have shared the rights now with Channel 4, so it could be shown on domestic TV as well. So that'd be good.
Yeah.
Is it actually going to get played, or is it going to get rained out?
Well, that's what they're trying to find ways of making sure they can play it.
Yeah.
Why is it dodgy there at the minute?
Horrendously stormy.
Forecast is calling for rain. They're talking of a shared title.
Fancy playing in a country that rains all the time. God, I tell you.
It's Australia.
You know where it doesn't rain? Qatar.
Don't give them ideas because
let's not go down that rabbit hole.
Dubai has actually hosted these tournaments already. So
yeah. Dubai did. It was during the COVID season.
Yeah.
So before we go, Matt, you've not had your say on the whole. There's a bit of news that Liverpool might be trying to sell a stake in the club or the whole club. Don't know if you picked up on it. No one's really talked about it much. So I thought, get your take, and obviously you've had a week to digest all the, I'll say news. Some of it I would say is non-news, but you know, in terms of who's coming in, what's going to happen, because I think a lot of it, I think some of the stuff I've seen recently is a bit of guesswork, to be honest. But what's your take on it?
The who's coming in part is entirely guesswork. Nobody has any idea who's coming in whatsoever at all, period. I think that can be pretty reasonably said. Everybody's just trying to hope that they're able to go back and point to their tweet that they made, you know, in the immediate aftermath of the news coming out and act like there's some sort of in-the-know soothsayer. So I've been all that off. I mean, my first thought was like trepidation. A cautious pessimism, because I think we have good owners. You can slander me with FSG in all you want. The team is in the best position they've been in on and off the pitch for 30 years. And a lot of that work started before Jurgen Klopp came in. Jurgen Klopp has carried on some of that. So even though FSG doesn't get all of it, they do have to get some of it. It's just, that's about it. I think, to me, this started when Chelsea sold. I think when Todd Boehly paid that much money for Chelsea, those boys in Boston went, excuse me? Because we are bigger than them in every sense. Every sense, Liverpool is bigger than Chelsea. So if you're getting that kind of money for Chelsea, there's a number. You know, everything is for sale in a capitalist world. And I think that they started putting the feelers out as soon as Chelsea got sold for that amount of money. So this has been going on behind the scenes for a little while. That's why you're seeing now that you got, you know, Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs are involved. That's not the sort of thing you do on the first day. And somebody said that on one of the other shows, like, to be at that point where these guys are doing up, you know, offer presentations, this has been kind of working in the background for a while. So I mean, to me, the big questions are, is it a small stake that they're going to sell to raise money, or is it a full sale? And I think it comes down to two things. One is, does somebody come in with an offer that they can't refuse? If somebody comes in, whether it's a person or a consortium comes in and says, we'll give you $5 billion, I think they go, thank you very much, and they walk away. And if an offer doesn't come in that just absolutely forces them to sell the team because it's an outrageous price, I think it comes down to where FSG sees our future revenues going. If they, with all their, Wharton Business School learning, if they can see a next 10 years where the club continues to add revenue at a steady pace, and they can see the value of the club continuing to grow, then to me, it would kind of make sense for them to sell off 10 or 15%, get back more than their original $350 million that they paid, put that into their pocket. They still control the majority of the team, and it can still grow. If they think that the club has kind of hit peak maximum value, I could see them, either taking a lower offer than something that just absolutely blows everybody away. Maybe it's only $3 billion, maybe it's $3.5 billion.
Only $3 billion.
Yeah, only $3 billion. But I mean, like, it's up to their, bean counters and forecasters and everything like that. That if they think like, oh, geez, boys, like we've got, that was very Canadian of me there. If they
geez, boys,
geez, boys, let me tell you, these guys own a hockey team now. If they think that they've picked all the low hanging fruit and that any further gains in the value or revenue of the club are going to be hard fought, it probably makes sense for them to try to get out and begin the process of selling the club over. And then the other question is, to who does it get sold? I mean, who knows? Who knows? I've heard a lot of people talking about, if this happens, then that, I'd have to ask some serious questions. I've decided where my line is in terms of who owns the club, and it's tyranny. So if you are involved with a tyrant or are closely connected to somebody that is keeping basic human rights from their citizens, I want nothing to do with that. And if that means I need to take a hiatus from supporting Liverpool, then that's what I'm going to do. But I think when you start batting around like, well, what about these, corporate actors and this? We give corporations, they can get away with anything in our society, but we've actually done a pretty good job of reeling in governments. So it's when people are connected to governments or governments directly or indirectly through investment funds get involved with your team. That's where the problem comes in. So you hear people saying, oh, I don't want to be owned by a state. Well, what state? The Netherlands? I'm fine with that. If the Queen of the Netherlands wants to buy Liverpool, cool. Who has a problem with the Netherlands?
You
Iran?
love the Netherlands.
Iran, maybe. Yeah. Iran, maybe not. North Korea probably don't want those state owners. Yeah. So I mean,
there is an element of, I think we have to wait till we see more.
Yeah, we need
concrete
more
names, because at the moment we can throw not this guy, not that guy, not this company, not that company. I think until we get to the point where we know who and what is buying us,
yeah,
it's a bit of wasted energy.
I agree with Matt. So I've had loads of conversations, even tonight in the pub, and not all oil money is bad money.
Yeah,
everybody connects this oil money to Man City, and they connect it to Newcastle, but like Matt says, they're owned by states. They're owned by people that actually control the human rights issues within their actual countries. But not all of these people that are going to come in that have money from oil are state companies, are connected to the states. So not all Saudi or not all Dubai or not all Qatari or whatever owners are bad owners. But what people have to remember as well is we could get someone that has 100 billion. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be willing to cheat like the owners of Newcastle or like City.
I think one way you got to look at this is the possibility that a consortium does a Glazers on us.
That's the worst case scenario.
Buys us with debt. That, to me, that scares me more than most things. I think what we need really is, in a lot of ways, we need people to shut up. We need people to just let the process evolve and see who the preferred bidders are. From then, you'll see what's going to happen. But I think it was John O was saying there about about Mike Gordon taking a step back. It was David Ornstein reported there again tonight that Hogan is going to take more of the day-to-day operations of the club, which, in fairness,
he sort of does anyway.
Yeah, it's probably natural for him to be doing that, but for Mike Gordon to be stepping back on top of the other news that's broken this week, it sometimes 2 + 2 does mean 4.
It also probably means Mike Gordon they want to keep Mike Gordon within the FSG bubble.
Yeah.
Whereas Billy Hogan, he's very much
Liverpool, LFC. Yeah.
LFC. So kind of like you go Liverpool. My feeling still is it's a controlling stake that gets sold. I still think FSG ideally will want a stake in Liverpool. Now, maybe a very small stake because I think they know they can still make money off it. And I think as long as it's a controlling stake they sell, I think most buyers aren't bothered because it's a control stake. They can't FSG can't stop them doing whatever they want to do. But depending on who the owner is, they might want their level of expertise of owning a football club for that many years.
If the club turns around and gets a valuation of, say, 4 billion, and you're looking to sell 50.1% of the club, then that's still a 2 billion sale.
Still big money in it.
It's enough of a transaction to warrant getting the likes of Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley involved in handling that level of transaction. Whereas with Redbird, they probably didn't need that. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was an American consortium, and there is money in the States to invest, and this is a really good time for American investors. Looking at the state of the British pound at the minute is so weak, but also the cost of borrowing on the global markets is getting more expensive. Means to me, I think something could happen sooner rather than later. Because the longer it goes with interest rates creeping up, it becomes more expensive to do these kind of transactions. At the minute, the pound is weaker. It's a perfect time for investors who are buying in dollars to do this kind of investment,
Yeah, and as Phil mentioned on Monday night, there is more links now to FSG wanting to buy the Commanders. So again, American sports franchises, they're not cheap. So
and they don't come up often. That's the thing.
I think somebody said that if Bezos decides that he wants to buy the Commanders, that's it. No one's kind of...
Yeah, but the thing is with Jeff Bezos, he's got a net worth of a certain amount. I think he's one of the richest men in the world.
204 billion.
But at the same time, is he that invested in...
Yeah.
I mean, they're talking $5.4 billion to buy the Washington Commanders. The other one was the Las Vegas
team.
With the possibility of an NBA team. The FSG, I reckon FSG would probably go down the NBA route over the NFL. I think the NFL is outside their wheelhouse of basically of being able to afford it. I think FSG as a group are spread too thin to be able to invest in an NFL franchise. I just don't think they can afford it.
Yeah, and Dina makes a good point. I think this has been going on for months already. Just because Ornstein got the story this week doesn't mean it's new. It also doesn't mean FSG didn't want this to come out. Probably the ideal might have been for it to come out
next
Sunday morning.
Yeah,
after the Premier League games. But
considering that there's been a lot of stuff from the Boston Globe, which is essentially owned by...
It is their paper,
John Henry.
Lockstock.
I mean, so
but
I think Matt is correct. I think Matt's right, is that they have said for the last 3 or 4 years that they've been open to new investors, or they've always been open to new investors.
Yeah.
But I think with the sale of Chelsea, and we've probably said it on this channel a few times, that when your club is worth a certain amount, there's not that many people that will be interested in buying it. I think when they saw how many, I think somebody mentioned earlier on in the comments that there's over 200 expressions of interest. When they saw how many people were actually interested in buying Chelsea, that kind of made their ears prick up a bit.
Yeah, but the thing is, of that 200,
you could have gone to 5 very quickly.
Yeah, when it came down to, okay, let's show me your cash, that number got whittled down really quickly.
Or there was an excuse put in, we couldn't buy the fellow wants to buy United. I don't think he had the money to buy United.
Yeah,
I don't think he had enough. I don't think he had enough money to buy United, but it gets his name in the paper and it helps push a certain agenda anyway. So it helps. But that's what that also brings.
I want to take this comment here from Sam Tandy that FSG, American sports is something they'd be more passionate about than an English football club. That might be the case. To me, it's all about guaranteed money. Like you're talking about franchises in the States. So like the issue with the Commanders, first off, I think if Jeff Bezos even slightly is interested in buying the team, he 100% will. This is a guy that went to space on a dick-shaped rocket. You don't think he wants to own an NFL team? Like, this guy is all about billionaire status. He's a bit of a dick. It's absolutely perfect for him. But I think if the opportunity came up that FSG could buy the Commanders, I think they'd sell Liverpool to finance buying the Commanders. Because it's guaranteed money every year. You don't have to worry about relegation. You don't have to worry about the Champions League. Missing the playoffs in football, not a big deal. Get a first overall draft pick. Now you got some hot young kid. You make a Netflix documentary. You're flying. But I do think that they're going to get priced out of that by Bezos and Jay-Z. And they will 100% go for that basketball team because LeBron has made absolutely no secrets about his desire to be an owner of a basketball team. And it's a lot cheaper to buy an expansion franchise than it is to buy out an existing franchise. And so I think if they get priced out of that NFL deal, the addition of an NBA team into their portfolio, it seems like it's an obvious next move. They've got baseball, they've got a football team, they've got a hockey team, a basketball team makes the next logical sense to add on to. But I don't think that would necessarily take away. The final thing I want to say is I got two things. I've got a shout for a potential.
What noise came out,
Here's a shout for a potential owner. People want a billionaire that want to spend money that has all this. Tim Cook from Apple, or just Apple in general, because I think somebody that gets involved with that next. Because I think the next phase, when I was doing the prep for our FSG show we did a couple weeks ago, how FSG talked about how antiquated the business around English football was and how they saw so much growth there. And a big thing for them was broadcasting. And to me, the next phase of broadcasting is in-house selling your own rights. So I think any club or any consortium or conglomerate or whatever, or individual that comes in and gets involved with buying the club, I think they're going to have some connection to a media streaming market. And so I came up with Tim Cook. Almost certainly won't buy the team.
Amazon Prime.
Exactly. Like Jeff Bezos has something like Amazon Prime, something like Apple TV, where you've got a pre-existing infrastructure. Google has YouTube, something like that. Like, to me, that's the next step in terms of getting the value, because the natural growth of the club, match day, it's going up a little bit, but Anfield can only get so big just because of the geography, the reality of it. But I don't think, regardless of whether it's a partial stake or a controlling stake, I don't see how people think that this is going to equal more money for transfers. In my scenario where FSG sell 10 or 15% and get $400 billion, they put that $400 billion into their pockets and walk away like happy businessmen. Yeah. And in exchange, this new group gets 10 or 15% ownership of Liverpool Football Club. At no point does this mean we're going to give more money for transfers. No. You hear people talk, we need FSG plus. We need FSG plus Roman Abramovich to come in and give $100 million a year, because that's what you need to keep up. You can't keep up if you don't cheat financially. You just can't. So you either have to cheat or try as hard as you can.
Which I think is probably why I think it's more down the route of controlling stake of the whole club. Because I think they've been trying to do the 10-15% sale for 2-3 years, and it's been really quiet on that sort of front. I mean, the positive, maybe if we got Apple owning us, not better to get a decent Wi-Fi reception in Anfield. Because honestly, God, it's like go to Anfield, it's like that black hole for finding out anything Wi-Fi wise. So
I mean, humanity that owns the LA Clippers is an interesting one.
That name's been banded about on social media.
Ballmer.
Steve something. Ballmer, is it?
That's it.
Bamer, is it? Yeah.
Bamer, Balmer, but he's an interesting one because of his net worth is close to 100 billion. Earned his money through Microsoft.
Invests heavily in his basketball team.
Yeah, massively, yeah. But he'd be very much along the Bowley type of owner. And again, the one thing that we can safely say with FSG is they made their mistakes earlier on when we were in a position trying to get into Europe. Any new owner coming in now, you can't afford someone to be coming in and making mistakes. So you'd hope that the likes of Gordon and the infrastructure that's within the club at the minute stays. That Mike Gordon stepping back and letting Liverpool stand on its own 2 feet without his involvement is not such a bad thing, because as long as we're allowed to spend what we make and make our own decisions independently of whoever the new owners are, that's all you can ask for at the minute, because Klopp seems like he's come out and said, look, I'm really happy with the situation. I'm comfortable with it. We'll wait and see. But
we'll see. Listen, it's gone off 11 now, so I think we should let people go to the beds, But listen, cheers, Matt. Cheers, Emmett. Cheers, Kev. So rest of the week, Kev, you and me are back tomorrow
afternoon.
Full-time Reds. Fingers crossed we're talking about a Liverpool win. Then Fatback 4 on Sunday. And then
whoa. It will be the Fatback 4, but there's actually only 3 of us. So Matt gets his back 3 that he's been wishing for so long.
Oh, it's never going to work, is it? Then?
It's gonna be still called the Fatback 4, but it'll be just 3 at the back on Friday.
I like it.
On Sunday, sorry.
Flying wingbacks, though.
Flying wingbacks, yeah. That's me and Kev on a Saturday. And then, I'll be honest, for Monday, God knows. I'm sure there'll be drafts. I'm sure there'll be quizzes. I'm sure there'll be all sorts of random stuff we'll do, as well as I'm sure there'll be some World Cup stuff as well. So all I say is hit the like button on your way out. Please subscribe, hit the bell icon, and then you'll know when we're doing stuff. But thanks for watching. We'll see you guys very soon. Catch you later.
Welcome to Toffee TV. It's the match preview once again. Everton have to travel down to Bournemouth, where John went the other night, and will be going again, I presume.
Fans, what are we like, eh?
Mad. That's what you're like.
Well, the ones on the coach, they're the ones.
Yeah.
Because they're slower.
Yeah, they have no control.
I think Hans was saying it was like 6 hours coming back the other night. So
yeah. The last game before the break.
Yeah.
And Everton have got to try and make sure it's a positive one. Otherwise, if they don't, the Nige will be out, let's be honest. The media Nige will be out whilst they're not distracted by the World Cup. The fans, some of the fans' knives will be out, because it is a long time till that Wolves game.
It is, yeah.
Being knocked out the cup,
badly.
Everton have got to get something out of this game, otherwise the table is going to look very, very raw.
It's going to look raw anyway, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, we should win. I think if we win, when we win, then I think I tweeted, we won't forget about the other one, but it'll be a better memory than it will be if we lose 2 on the bounce to them. And I know they've got the hex on us a little bit, but no, it's not really optional, is it? And I think the manager might think, I think he said it in one of his press conferences, if we win, then in this block of fixtures, i.e. pre the World Cup, we're roughly where he thought we might be. Yeah. In points terms, I mean, not necessarily league and stuff. But yeah, they just need to turn up a bit better than they did the other night.
I mean, ultimately, if Everton could win the game, then I imagine the table won't look terrible if some other results go our way.
It could easily be mid-table,
But if it doesn't go our way, and obviously Bournemouth are below us, if they get the 3 points, they will go above us.
That's right.
And for me, going into a game, four defeats in a row for Bournemouth in the league. Everton have got to throw everything in this game, I think.
They do. We do. And I think we've got to go on the front foot, haven't we? Because they concede on average 2 goals a game, don't they, in the league? And they score a goal a game. So on average, they lose 2-1, but they can get a tonk in. They don't seem to be able to hold a lead. So and defensively they must be a bit flaky. So we've really got to step up and show a bit of intent, really. I think.
Yeah, I mean the last 2 games, they had a 2-0 lead over Spurs at home.
Yeah.
And then they had a 3-1 lead over Leeds away from home.
That's right, and lost both.
But the big issue for me is Everton can't score goals.
No.
So it's fine saying, well, we can get back into the game, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But if we can't score goals again, then if we let them get 2-0 up or whatever, I mean, I don't know what you felt the other night, but the minute they scored, I thought the game was over. And I know that's a horrible way, and you probably don't feel like that, because that's why you're still going up and down the country. But if we go behind...
Not the first one, because it was a fluke.
Yeah, but if we go behind... You've got that general sense at the moment where things have changed really quickly, where there does seem a bit of a lack of confidence, not only through the fan base, but it almost seems like some of the players now once you haven't scored goals regularly for a while, players must start asking the questions, well, we've gone behind, here comes the uphill task.
I think that's where we'll get the chalk and the cheese of the 2 teams, because clearly he'll make another 11 changes, sort of thing, to go back to the first choice team. But that team in the week, that was a stark reminder of what we were like in the darkest moments of last season, where, particularly when it went 2-0, they have not got it in them to even put up a fight.
No.
And there was no urgency. It was still, we've got all the time in the world, we'll stroke the ball around and so on and so forth. But goals change games, right? And when it went 2-1, the fans believed we could get another one. The players believed, and then they just regressed back to the way they were before. So it's really, I think the manager will find it really difficult, because if we flake, then it's, well, what have you achieved then, really? Because if nothing else, it's the mindset thing. But I can't visualise a Cody and a Tarkowski accepting the ineptness of the way we played the other night.
No.
There was no leadership on the pitch. There was no nothing, right? No. And they did, but we've had this in the league, though, haven't we? A fair number of teams have beaten us without having to try very hard. Yeah. And that's a habit we've got to get out of.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned the changes. I mean, Dominic Calvert-Lewin won't be involved.
No.
So obviously Neil Maupay.
He's done his shoulder.
Well, he's done his shoulder. Yeah, he's done his shoulder as well. So obviously, that's something they're going to look at now. The midfield, Onana and Adesanya Gay, both doubts, but
I think Onana will be ready, doesn't he?
Yeah, but I just wonder whether, because they're both going to the World Cup,
whether they'll risk them.
Well, not whether he'll risk them, whether they'll risk themselves.
Yeah.
And then you've got does Patterson stay in the team? Wasn't great the other night. He was all right going forward, but defensively he was a bit of a meh. And you're looking for character and you're looking for leaders, and that's what Seamus Coleman is. So there's a few different areas. James Garner, I imagine, seems like he'll start the game, but who does he play the game for? Because you just mentioned Onana, just mentioned, does Iwobi go wide? I think he's got a few decisions to make, because this game, no matter what, we can't afford to lose this game.
No, not at all. Not at all. And if you're being critical of the manager, you say, well, what is the style of play? Because, if you knew how you were going to play, and I don't mean passing it backwards all the time, but if you knew how you were going to play, then you say, well, that player's not available, so I'll put a player in that does play that sort of way. And I just think that was what was lost again the other night. It was just 11 strangers playing crap. So, no, losing isn't an option, and drawing would probably be bad as well.
Yeah.
It's only better than losing. You've got to go in and around those clubs who we think are going to be down in the places where we don't want to be, and turn them over. And if you look at what we've done so far this season, in broad terms, we have competed, against those and done the right thing. But a draw's not good enough either for me.
No, I think we've got to get the first goal. I think if we can get the first goal and then go through some. We've seen a Fulham that we can be dogged when we play away. That we can Brentford, for the large part of that game we were under the cosh but got through with a point. Leeds, I still think we should have beaten Leeds.
Yeah.
Obviously Southampton, second half was a bit of a dogfight as well, but we took the lead and we stayed in it. I think if we can get the lead, I think that's massively important. I just worry that if we concede, A lot of those players will think it's a mountain that they can't climb with everything going on. We've got to be more attacking. We've got to take more chances. There's got to be more shots. It's the only way we're going to, obviously, the only way we're going to score goals.
I think, yeah, I think we do the psychology bit on it. It's interesting because if we score first, they think they can't win because they don't score that many goals either. If they score first, we'll have the same attitude, won't we? Yeah. We don't score many goals, so the best we'll get out of this is a draw. Yeah. So they just need to, I know it's easy to say, but play with a confidence around we're better than they are. Man for man we are, but as a team.
And also, for a lot of these players, this is their last game for 6 weeks.
You don't need to leave any...
leave it all out there, leave it all out there. Make sure that when you walk off the pitch, you're not thinking, I've got to deal with this for the next 6 weeks. I've got to deal with all this till Boxing Day.
There isn't a club, I don't care who they are, who are playing this, well, they're all playing this weekend, but who want to lose because of the length of the gap between, you know. And
it's for Frank Lampard. He'll have that nagging thought in the back of his head.
Yeah. No, the owner's got 4 weeks to think about
things. The owner's got a couple of weeks to think about this, and if someone gets in his ear or he gets notified that a certain manager is available or whatever, he might think this might be the right time to do it. And we've seen that with Villa, we've seen that with Southampton this week as well. There's plenty of evidence to say that.
If clubs are going to change managers, it's just before this break, which is what some have done, right? And those who are, with Southampton notably, I guess, and those who are on a precipice, they see the results. If they lose, they go, bin him now, and give ourselves the best chance. Because then the new manager's allegedly got 3 or 4 weeks, and then he's got a window. So it's difficult times. But we're going to win anyway, so
that's all right then. That we're going to win. No, I don't know. I'm not. I'll be honest. I'm not massively confident, and that just comes down to goals, John. That's all it is.
I'm with you on
It's just goals. It's like I think Everton. If you were to look at Everton in the last few weeks, or take the season as a whole, you'd go, defence, we've proved we can be fine.
Solid.
Midfield, we've proved we can be all right. Forward line is where we're just completely lacking, and the answers.
We score less than a goal a game.
Yeah, and the answers aren't clearly at the football club, because Dominic Calvert-Lewin gets injured too much. Anthony Gordon hasn't done anything. Damari Gray hasn't done anything. Dwight McNeil hasn't done anything. And maybe there has to be some kind of change to how we play, whether it be Iwobi playing in a wide position, whether it be Garner coming into it. And when I say a wide position by Iwobi, I mean coming off from a wide position to allow someone like Garner to go into the midfield. Because it's at the moment it's just not working. And that's his job. He's paid to find the answers, isn't he? He's paid to find the answers, coach, and allow these players to get the best out of these players.
Express themselves,
Well, do the job, do what they're paid for, and I just want, you know what? I can't wait for the break, number one, but I just hope that for a few weeks we can walk around smiling, going actually
going to the break with a win.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
That's
and then every other result goes our way, and actually we end up with like 11th.
Well, that's what's crazy. You look at because it's still tight, but I think you made the point in last week or so, which is it looks tight now, but you lose a couple, and you then go into that mode where actually there's gaps forming, and we need to be at the top of the gap, not at the bottom.
Yeah. And only wins give managers time. That's the honest truth. To give them time, and you get that time and the space to do your job, to coach, to bring players in. And because I've heard this expression, needs 2 or 3 windows. You're not going to get 2 or 3 windows if you are around the bottom of the league. Losing. You are not improving. You are losing, and you are in danger.
And the owner, number one priority is staying in the league until the stadium's up and running, and we all know that. You know, and I don't think we should be too shy at just having to accept that the objective this season is to stay in the league. And that's a damning statement compared to the amount of money the owners spent and all that, but it is where we are. Exactly. Now, Lampard seems to be pragmatic about that. You know, he talks about blocks of games and stuff like that. And he knows, because he said it publicly, a win, and we are where we expected to be. So that means it's on plan, doesn't it? You know, so you've got the ups and downs, but you've got the points from the number of games. So the team need to go out and do that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly. Needs a bit of leadership, a bit of luck, and a couple of goals, and that's it. There you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Last game till the break. I know everyone's looking forward to it. It's sad that we're all looking forward to a bit of a break, though, isn't it? there you go. That shows you where we are. So let us know your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to give this video a like. Subscribe if you haven't already. We've got more great videos, daily live videos. Join us over on Toffee TV Premiere. The link is in the description and it'll be on the screen in a moment. See you later.
Cheers, guys.
I'm Martin Tyler, and you're listening to Harry Symeou.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to another live edition of the Chronicles of a Gooner, the Arsenal podcast, part of the 90 Min Football Network. As ever, I'm your host, Harry Symeou, and on this edition of the show, we're going to be looking ahead to Arsenal's trip to Molineux, the final Premier League game before we break for the World Cup, and we're going to be discussing some of the latest transfer rumours doing the rounds. We're going to be talking Mikhailo Mudryk, we're going to be talking Danilo. Have Arsenal made a bid for the Ukrainian? Are Arsenal confident of getting a deal done for the Brazilian, even ahead of the window? Some are reporting. We're going to dig into all of that. I'm going to be sharing with you guys the information that I have and what I've been told around those two players. And of course, we'll be taking a few of your questions from the live chat box. I have to be honest. I have to be completely honest. I haven't had an awful long time, I beg your pardon, to kind of put this podcast together because preparations are well underway at 90 Min HQ for the World Cup, which is obviously just around the corner. We've been making loads and loads of content today that's going to be released over the next week. Really looking forward to you guys hearing that. Some great audio podcasts looking back on the 98 World Cup, the 2002 World Cup, the 2006 World Cup, the 2008, 2010, and of course, 2014, 18 as well. Yeah, I think we did all of them basically in recent memory anyway, the ones that I can remember. So really looking forward to sharing that with you guys, and I think you'll enjoy them. They're a real kind of memory jogger of how things were back then. And when you listen to those and you sort of listen to what we had to say and some of our memories of those times, you'll realize that football has really changed a lot. And I don't know if it's for the better, if I'm being honest. But anyway, I digress. Mark says, evening, Harry. You can tell your show is doing well when you have to sit through 3 ads first. I'm sorry, mate. I'm so sorry. What platform was that on? Was that on YouTube or was that on the podcast? Because I want to reduce that. I don't want there to be 3 ads. That's way too many. They do get auto inserted on some platforms. So I want to tidy that up a little bit. 3 is way too many. But anyway, cool. Let's get into it because, of course, the Gunners travel to Molineux on Saturday night, 7:45 kickoff. What is there a worse kickoff time in football than a 7:45 on a Saturday? I don't think there is. People want to chill out on a Saturday night. If you get to my age, if you're younger, you want to go out and enjoy yourself. What you don't want to be doing is sitting there stressing over Arsenal and their trip to Molineux. That's not what you want. And there is a part of me that, you know, should be incredibly confident going into this game. I know Arsenal were bad in midweek, but there was 10 changes made to that side. And it was in a competition for me that doesn't mean an awful lot at the moment, isn't anywhere near the top of our priority list. And so actually I was quite, I don't want to say happy because I wasn't happy, but I was okay with the fact that we exited. I'm okay with the fact that we're not progressing, you know, in that competition. So should I sort of read into that too much? Should I let it put me on a downer? Absolutely not. You know, I think that Arsenal go to Wolves and I think that Arsenal win. I think we're a much better side than them. I think we've had a much better start to the season. They have, of course, appointed Julen Lopetegui to take over the managerial position. But of course, he has not started in his role yet. I believe he takes on the role from next week. So there may have been some communication. There may have been just a couple of things sort of drip fed through. But ultimately, this is still a Wolves side that has really, really struggled of late. And a Wolves side that if we do have aspirations of staying at least in the title hunt for a little bit longer and to the point where we're kind of right up there on, you know, post-Christmas and beyond, then we need to win this type of fixture, right? But there is this part of me that is nervous, and that's down to a couple of reasons. So I've mentioned the kickoff time, right? I think it's an awkward kickoff time. I really do. That's number one. It's away from home, so you can never feel totally confident, not in this league. The other thing that stresses me out about this game is the fact that the World Cup is so close. Now, I've been speaking to a lot of people this week on various different radio shows and podcasts and channels and whatnot. And there seems to be a general opinion and a general view that there will at least be some players out there who go into this weekend kind of half-arsing it because of fear of what might happen if they do pick up a knock so close to the World Cup, from fear that they may not recover in time for what is a huge occasion. Now, look, there's a lot of issues around this Qatar World Cup, okay? There's human rights issues. There's issues around the LGBTQ plus community, right? There's lots and lots to dislike about this World Cup. There's no question about that in my mind. The fact that it's in the winter is another issue, another big issue for a lot of people. But what I would say is that for a lot of these players who I'm sure feel strongly about the issues that I've just mentioned, and I'm sure will do what they can to try and address some of these issues and try and raise awareness of these issues so that things can be improved and things can get better. But to these players, this is still a World Cup, right? I was talking to Scott over at 90 Min today when we were doing our show, and we kind of briefly touched on it right at the top of the program. And I said, you know, yes, this is a World Cup that has got a cloud hanging over it, but this is Wales's first World Cup for 64 years. How can people expect you not to enjoy it a little bit, not to buy into the occasion, not to, you know, enjoy the hype and all that surrounds it? So this is where I don't like when football is a really powerful thing, right? And it can affect a lot and it can help people and it can bring positive things, but it's still not politics. And this is where you got to be careful, because when the two come together, you then get into this space where, you know, I've seen some people today saying, so in response to a tweet I put out this morning, I said, Gareth Southgate, whether you agree with his squad, whether you agree with the way he manages the team, I think is a really good ambassador for England in the way that he talks about and addresses some of these big issues. I think he does it with class. I think he does it in the right way, whereby he offers support to these causes, but doesn't go as far as lumping it all onto football. So he protects his players a little bit as well, but also makes sure that he is, you know, he is obviously raising the issues, using his profile, etc., etc. Football managers, football players have influence, and they should use that influence in whatever way they can to make things better. But what football players are not are the moral gatekeepers of this world. And that's what we have to remember, right? And that's how I think about it. So for me, you know, as I say, a lot of people I keep digressing today. What's going on? Basically, what I was saying was a lot of people disagreed with me when I said that Gareth Southgate was a good ambassador, because they said, well, he should have pulled his England team out of the competition. First of all, that's not his decision. That's not something that Gareth Southgate has the power to do, I don't think, to be able to A, convince the FA to pull out of it, and B, to be able to convince all of those players, a lot of whom have worked incredibly hard to get to this point where they're going to a World Cup, that they shouldn't go in order to kind of to help deal with and tackle the issues. And at the end of the day, unless everyone pulls out, then I don't think it's as strong a statement, and we're not going to see that. It's not going to happen, right? So going back to what I was saying, you've got the World Cup, you've got Gareth Southgate doing what he should be doing, in my opinion, which is shining a light on the issues, but trying to make it clear and still making sure that that gap between football and those things is, or that line between football and those things is still quite clear. And that's where I think he should be. And I think he's handled it pretty well. I know a lot of people disagree with that, but I think, as I say, he's handled himself brilliantly and impeccably. But our players now, because of the fact that the World Cup will mean a lot to so many of them, are they going into this weekend fearful? Are they going into this weekend cautiously? Are they going into this weekend without being 100% committed? I bloody hope not. There will be players out there for whom this will be relevant, okay? There will be players out there who will be looking at their age and going, well, I haven't got too long left, and this is maybe the last World Cup where I'm going to be at my peak, or maybe my last World Cup at all. And therefore, I'm scared and I'm worried about how I'm going to feel and how I'm going to deal with it mentally if I miss it because I picked up an injury away at Wolves in a Premier League game. That's what you're going to get now. Okay, you're going to get that. Mikel Arteta was asked about this, and I thought he addressed it really bloody well. He said, look, I've told my players that if you sit there and you think about the potential of picking up an injury and you half commit and you don't do things properly and you allow it to kind of cloud your mind, then you will bloody get injured. So what you need to do is you need to just be a professional athlete. You need to kind of forget about that, be committed, do your job, remain professional, and the chances are you'll be okay. You know, and that's I think the right way to approach it. It's not always easy to get that across to players, though. This is the problem. It's not always easy to you know, to change someone else's mindset. Now, Steve says, Harry, I'm not convinced Mikel will accept a below par performance. Based on his comments ahead of this game, I am convinced that if he feels that anybody, and I mean anybody, in that team is giving anything less than 100% on Saturday, he is going to be livid. He is going to be fuming, and he's not going to react to it well. And that's what you want to see for your manager. And I said this to someone the other day. We were having a discussion on Twitter. A colleague of mine said, why on earth is Harry Kane playing, you know, in the Carabao Cup against Nottingham Forest? And I turned around and said, well, what does Antonio Conte care whether Harry Kane's playing against Nottingham Forest? Antonio Conte wants to win a game of football, wants the best players he's got at his disposal so that he can stand the greatest chance of winning the game. Obviously, they didn't. Haha, great, love it. But what he wants is his team to do well, and especially Antonio Conte, who has no investment in England whatsoever. My reply was, why would he care? Why do you assume that everybody cares about England's chances at the World Cup? Antonio Conte does not believe me. Now, if Harry Kane goes out there and gives a below par performance and shows a lack of commitment, that's on Harry Kane. But the managers of these Premier League clubs know that, you know, their jobs in a lot of cases hang in the balance based on what they achieve this season, and they're not going to drop points willingly. They're not going to make changes willingly. They're not going to voluntarily weaken their sides, and you got to understand that, and you got to accept that. When the Premier League is done this weekend, then the attention turns to the World Cup. But until then, yes, the World Cup is looming there, but it's not here yet. And first and foremost, we have to go out there and do our bit. Now, Kaya Kainak was on this show with me the other day, and he said that he felt that if Arsenal were to drop off the top going into the break, it would be a bit of a disappointment, wouldn't it? It would deflate us a little bit, given that we've been sitting top of the pile, given that we've been doing so well. It would be a real statement, and it would be a real marker if Arsenal could go into that break still top of the pile and ready to come back and hopefully pick up where we left off with limited disruption. But yeah, anyway, look, I realized that the bit we were talking about at the beginning, it is a little bit sensitive, right? Because I know that there are a lot of people that have been victim and suffer from a lot of the issues that are being raised around this World Cup. And as I say, my intention is not to justify any of it, because that's not what I'm doing. What I am saying is that you have to be very clear in my opinion, in what you expect sports people to be able to do. Remember Jurgen Klopp last week? I thought he was absolutely bang on when he said to all the journalists, you should have stopped this happening. You should have reported on this. You should have made a big song and dance about it. It's not always just on players and managers to highlight these issues. And what I think you have to do as a footballer, just to be clear, is you have to use your profile for good. I think you have a responsibility to do that. And doing good in a footballer's case, a footballer, by the way, who has no influence on politics or policy or religion, a footballer can use his influence, as I say, to shine a light on issues and campaign for good. But only the politicians, the religious leaders, and the people with actual real life power can make the change. Okay, so we have to be able to draw that line between the footballer and the politician, the religious leader, the national leader, whatever, right? That's where we're at. And I think what we do quite a bit, and wrongly, is we blur that line, and we then expect sports people to cross that line and get on the other side and go head to head, toe to toe, however you want to put it, with people who actually have real world power rather than just influence. And when I say influence, I mean followings, I mean audiences. And so those are two very, very different things. I just wanted to clarify that because I'm not for a second suggesting that there aren't any issues or anything like that. Right. But anyway, let's get back to Wolves. So what's the team I would go with to take on Wolves? Well, the team for me picks itself. It really does. And that's the thing with this Arsenal side. You know, we're in a position now where we know what our best team is. We know what our best team isn't as well, because we've seen some really below par performances, I think, from a lot of the players that have been coming in recent weeks in the Europa League and, of course, most recently in the Carabao Cup. But my team to face Wolves is Ramsdale in goal, back four of Zinchenko at left back, White at right back, Gabriel and Saliba in the heart of the defence. My midfield three would be Partey, Xhaka and Odegaard, as you'd expect, with Martinelli on the left, Saka on the right, and Gabby Jesus through the middle. As I say, I think that team picks itself. I think that team is good enough to go to Molineux and win. I think that with Zinchenko, we've got a different dynamic, and we've been missing that for a little while in our build-up play. I think, you know, the way he steps in field, the way he helps flood the midfield, tucks in alongside Thomas Partey when we're on the ball, just to give him a little bit more freedom at times as well. And that allows him to step a few yards further forward. That allows him to look to break lines at every opportunity. What it does do is it means that Gabriel has a little bit more work as the rest of the back line shifts across. And we saw that at Chelsea a couple of times when they broke into those half spaces. And the space I'm talking about is sort of, so Zinchenko comes into the midfield like this, and then what you get is you get this area here, which is now Gabriel's responsibility, as well as playing at left centre back. And sometimes what you get when we try and cover, you get Zinchenko running back in, Gabriel sort of shifting across, and then there can be a space left here, and that can be a problem. Or if you've got sort of Zinchenko not able to get back quick enough, and then Gabriel has to go inside, then again that space appears here in the half space for teams to try and exploit. And Kai Havertz tried to exploit that, didn't he, a few times at the start of the Chelsea game. Obviously not to good effect, because Chelsea really and truly didn't lay a glove on us that day, but you could see what they were trying to do, and you could see that they identified that as an area of weakness for this Arsenal side. So that's my team. I'm not going to go over the statistics and stuff, because I suspect that most of you would prefer to hear about some of the Arsenal transfer stories that have been doing the rounds today. So let's do that instead. We're going to talk Mykhailo Mudryk, and we're going to talk Danilo of Palmeiras. Now, Danilo is a player that Arsenal were heavily linked with at the back end of the summer transfer window. If you remember, in the last couple of days of that window, the interest supposedly became a lot stronger, and there was a thought that Arsenal would try and get that deal done. In the end, they didn't think it was doable, and they moved to try and sign Douglas Luiz. Obviously, that didn't happen, and so we're back to square one in terms of bringing in that deep-lying / defensive midfield player, the player that's going to sit at the base of Arsenal's midfield. Palmeiras' Danilo, I beg your pardon, has been identified. And according to some reports doing the rounds today, Arsenal are close to reaching an agreement with Palmeiras, and the full agreement could be reached as early as next month, so ahead of the January transfer window. Now, that comes from a number of sources. What I've been told is that there is no deal in place now, and that no deal is imminent. However, the interest in Danilo is concrete. He is the one that Arsenal really want. They're willing to pay more for Danilo than they were willing to pay for Douglas Luiz, and they see him as a much longer term solution to the problem in that midfield, to that problem that we have when, of course, Thomas Partey is unavailable. Now, I've also been told that Sambi Lokonga is not on the verge of leaving the football club. Now, a lot of people have kind of been saying that of late and have suggested that he needs to go out on loan and all of this stuff. What I've been told was the situation, and this was kind of backed up by the comment that Mikel Arteta gave me the other day, is that when Sambi Lokonga was identified by Arsenal, they identified him as somebody who could come in and play the Thomas Partey role. They identified him as somebody who could come in, sit at the base of the midfield, had the defensive capability to break play up, to read things, to understand the game, and to help his teammates out, but also had the ability to break lines with his passing. And actually, if you go back and watch a lot of clips of Sambi Lokonga, you know, whether you got access to Y-Scout or anything else, you will see that a lot of his passing in Anderlecht colours was incredibly progressive. So I can understand why Arsenal would have looked at him, looked at Thomas Partey, seen similarities and decided that they should go out and bring him in. However, last season, Lokonga, you know, had some good games, but he was relied upon way more than Mikel Arteta or Arsenal had intended when they brought him into the club. He was almost fast-tracked. And when he was fast-tracked, a lot of that was as a consequence of Thomas Partey's unavailability. And so he went into that position. But over time, the Arsenal coaching staff, Mikel Arteta, believe and have kind of accepted, acknowledged, whatever way you want to put it, that actually Lokonga's best position, it's not there. They see him as a much more advanced player now. They see him as somebody who is much more comfortable in a number 8 role. They see him as somebody who wants to play and needs to probably play a little bit further up the pitch. And he's had a couple of opportunities to do that of late. He did that in pre-season and did it very, very well. Now, there's no denying that of late he's struggled to have the impact, and I don't think he's taken those opportunities that he's had in the 8 position. But that is where Arsenal are at right now in terms of Sambi Lokonga. They made a relatively big investment on him for a player of his age coming from Anderlecht. You don't tend to spend that much when you're bringing players over from the Belgian league, especially ones who are still largely unproven. But given Arsenal did, they are willing to give him a bit longer. Now, Sambi Lokonga might tell you he's unhappy. Sambi Lokonga might tell you that, you know, it's not going the way he hoped at Arsenal and that, you know, he wants out. But Arsenal have zero intention, what I've been told, of sending Sambi Lokonga out on loan or to sell him in January, for that matter. When the summer comes, his situation will be reassessed and we'll see where we are. But right now, he is staying put. So Danilo, if he did come in, would be an addition. But there is a feeling and there is a hope among the Arsenal hierarchy that they can get this Danilo deal done in time for the January window, because they really believe in what we've seen so far. Edu apparently told them that this was going to be the season in which we really pushed on and the season in which we, you know, saw the fruits of our labor. And so the club's hierarchy, the Chronicles, they're quite happy if the right players are identified to go a little bit earlier than maybe they originally planned, in order to try and consolidate, in order to try and kick on, in order to try and maintain, I guess is the best word, the levels that we're currently at. So Danilo in January is a real possibility. Now, as for Mykhailo Mudryk, another one that we've been heavily linked with for a long, long time, this one is a little bit more complicated. Why? Because he's going to cost a lot more money. Now, Shakhtar Donetsk have repeatedly said that they want big, big money for Mykhailo Mudryk, and he is the golden boy of Ukrainian football right now. He is somebody who a lot of people have been impressed by. He is somebody that will be sought after. But it's understood that conversations between his representatives and Arsenal have taken place in the past. You've all seen him on social media saying that he'd jump at the chance to join Arsenal, that it's a club he really admires. And with Arsenal sitting top of the league, and again, this is really important as to why we probably need to be top of the league even going into January and into that window, is because people are looking across at our project and saying, I'll tell you what, it's working, isn't it? I want to be a part of that. Mikel Arteta's stock as a manager has never been higher. His appeal as a manager has never been higher. And Arsenal need to capitalize on that and need to use that in order to go out and get the players that they want. Now, Mykhailo Mudryk will probably cost, I would say, £40 million plus. Some people are saying 60 million. Some people are saying 70 million. I can tell you this. Shakhtar Donetsk, a club who can't play at home at the moment in Europe, are, you know, from a part of the world that is currently under siege, you know, a part of the world that is really struggling at the moment, where a lot of horrible things are going on, have had their revenues massively decreased. They've got a lot of problems. And I'm not saying Arsenal should be looking to exploit them or exploit anybody off the back of what's happening in Ukraine. But the point I'm trying to make here is that I'm almost certain that Shakhtar would accept less than what they're publicly saying they would accept for Mykhailo Mudryk. And the reason I bring this up today, and the reason we discussed this today, is because earlier on there was a report coming out of Italy, which isn't the most reliable place to get reports from, especially Calcio Mercato, etc., that Arsenal have made a £52.3 million bid, and that we are awaiting a response from Shakhtar Donetsk. Now, my information given to me today is that, and I don't, I don't do this. I don't jump on here every week and say, yep, I've got this information. So-and-so's brother's sister's girlfriend's cousin is a ball boy at Arsenal, whatever. I don't do this. I very rarely come out and say that I've got information. I've done it twice in the past, and both times it was correct. But my information on this, and I'm gonna be that guy today, is that Arsenal haven't made a bid. Is that Arsenal will explore the possibility of signing Mykhailo Mudryk in January, but there's been no official bid lodged. That Shakhtar Donetsk have not received any official offer and have no official indication of Arsenal's intention to try and do a deal for the player in January. So this is nonsense. We're not there yet. Arsenal like him. He likes Arsenal. Arsenal are watching him very closely. But this is not at an advanced stage. This is not even at a stage where there is dialogue between the two clubs. So do not get carried away by this one. I just wanted to clarify that. Okay. Yeah. So that bid, it's not happened. Okay. So there is interest in Mudryk. There is interest in Danilo, but neither club, not Palmeiras, not Shakhtar, have been in dialogue with Arsenal officially over the transfer of any of the aforementioned players. So we need to just chill out on that for now. There's going to be a lot of talk over the coming weeks, especially next week when we've got that lull between the Premier League stopping and the World Cup. You can bet your bottom dollar that there'll be tons of transfer stories. There'll be stories that people are writing up now, ready to publish during that period of time. During the World Cup, there'll be lots of transfer stories as well, because when players play well, they inevitably get linked with big clubs in Europe, and we are a big club in Europe. We're currently sitting top of the Premier League. So prepare yourselves for that. Strap yourselves in. We'll try and decipher as many of those rumors as we can throughout the competition. We'll also be bringing you some content as well throughout the competition. So the Chronicles of Aguna is not going to stop. Just going to take a slightly different direction. But stay with us. Make sure you enjoy it. Make sure you're subscribed. Any feedback around what you guys want to see during the World Cup is greatly appreciated. But yeah, I'll give you guys my prediction for Wolves. I think Arsenal are going to win 1-0. I don't think it's going to be pretty. I think that we're going to see some really dull matches this weekend. I think we're going to see some shock results, possibly. Let's just hope that there is no shock at Molineux. So Arsenal to win 1-0 is my prediction. I did say I was going to take some questions, but I've rambled on for way too long, and my missus is going out tonight. I'm babysitting the kids. She's going to kill me if I delay her getting ready anymore. So I'm going to go, because happy wife equals happy life and all of that. But we'll do another stream over the weekend where we spend a lot more time taking your questions. We're going to be live tomorrow night, Saturday night, reacting to the game against Wolves. And we'll do something on Sunday as well. And perhaps we can do a phone in and take some questions on that show. So do stay tuned. Do leave a like on the video. It really does help. Let's try and get it up to 100 likes by the time the stream ends. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you all very soon. I've got to address this first. Moss says, is it babysitting when you're the dad? You know what? I've had this conversation before, but given the way my children respond to me when I'm supposed to be looking after them or try to exert any authority over them, then it probably does fall into the category of babysitting. My 3-year-old is going on 30 and doesn't listen to me until I get a little bit stern, and then we start to get a response. And my daughter, well, she's just a mummy's girl and doesn't want to be anywhere near me most of the time. So I know I've got my work cut out. Therefore, I class it, Moss, as babysitting. Thank you so much, mate. Catch you all very soon. Until next time, all the best. Goodbye.
I'm Martin Tyler, and you're listening to Harry Symeou.